I don't care. I don't care what Celtic fans think. If they want to lap it up the night, that's absolutely fine. We're going to win the treble now. Aye. And plus, we're playing European football in March. In March, they can't get past Christmas in Europe. Plus, there's 2 Israeli teams left in Europe as well. And they absolutely hate the Israel. What? No, Fiorentina put them out, did. All right. Well, I mean, Maccabi Tel Aviv, they were like 2 or 3 goals up for the first leg away to Olympiacos, so they're definitely going through. And it's the Conference League, so they'll be going to Dublin. They'll not be going to Dublin. They'll have nothing to do with the Aviva Stadium when it. What? He's their manager. He manages Maccabi. All right, folks, welcome to your Gersnet Immediate Post-Match Reaction Pod, coming to you in association with Forest Precision Engineering and Football Prizes. My name's Alec Anderson, a DOB, just a DOB, a definitely orange Benfica. It's definitely orange, isn't it? When they're wearing the home socks and the home shorts with the home shirt, and it's look at that brickwork there, the Welsh brick that decorates Ibrox. It's lighter than red, isn't it? And there's the orange, the Just Eat sign, Just Eat adverts. I don't know why I'm thinking about them after a tea time kick-off the night. I'm absolutely starving. The stewards, obviously the kind of head stewards, they wear the orange high-vis vests. I think I mentioned this earlier on in the season. The orange vests on the photographers behind the goal. A lot of Rangers supporters wear the orange cones I'm looking at here at the back of the Broomland, telling folk what they can in Canny Park. It looked orange, didn't it? The Benfica kit looked orange. Talking orange, you watched The Godfather? I know the Godfather was on Film 4. You can watch it any time you like. Obviously, there's a lot of kind of streaming services and that these days. You should really have the DVD and the VHS video anyway. But I was watching The Godfather. It was on Film 4 around about Christmas time, and I noticed a thing I'd never ever noticed before. So many times I've watched that film, and a wee thing I'd never noticed. I was talking to you earlier this season about how Philippe Clement is that whole thing about when De Niro was going to be playing Vito Corleone in Godfather 2, everybody in the 70s was waiting to see him impersonate Marlon Brando, because De Niro was the new young hot actor on the scene, actor studio, that thing, method acting. He was a bit of a cause celeb, a bit like Brando, and folk thought he's going to impersonate Brando for Godfather 1, but of course he ended up just, him and Brando both played Vito Corleone. They played the character at different times in their life, and I was talking about how Philippe Clement and Walter Smith were both playing the part of a great Rangers manager, even though they're completely different people. They could never impersonate each other. They could both play the part of a great Rangers manager if they do the job right, and Philippe Clement definitely is. He gets that vibe. Well, the other thing, De Niro ends up, he's in Godfather 2, yeah, but he did play Marlon Brando. He did impersonate Brando. He impersonated Jake LaMotta, impersonating Marlon Brando in On the Waterfront. He does that, Jake LaMotta, when he's in Raging Bull, which is, I think that's a film I actually like more than The Godfather. If you haven't seen that, I would just advise you to switch this off right now, especially if you're a Celtic supporter. Just switch this off right now and go and pay for Raging Bull on Amazon Prime or whatever. Just watch it right now. It will enhance your life no end. But he does impersonate Brando. No, because Jake LaMotta has got this whole, that the boxer, it's a biopic, actual real boxer, Jake LaMotta, world middleweight champion from the Bronx, New York. So he's, it's him and his post-retirement days. He's fat and he's bloated. No pun intended. I don't know. He's fat and he's bloated. I'm the boss. And it ends in one of the most poignant endings in movie history, where he's just ahead of one of his kind of really sad cabaret acts. He's reduced to doing a wee cabaret act because he obviously can't keep boxing, so he's going in pubs and clubs, and he's got to put together a wee kind of stand-up routine. And he also does famous quotes. No, the thing ain't the ring, it's the play. That kind of stuff. So give me a stage where this bull here can rage, and though I can fight, I'd much rather recite. That's entertainment, wasn't it? Wasn't it? It was. I mean, it was entertainment. And so that's him. He's actually impersonating Brando, because he ends up doing into the scene from On the Waterfront, and of course he falls out with his brother, Jake LaMotta, and if not, it's Joe Pesci's playing his brother, who's needing him to take the old flip flop so Joe Pesci can keep it. Tommy Como and his mafia mates really happy. So Jake LaMotta and his sense of pride is kind of let down by his brother the same way that the character in On the Waterfront is let down by his brother. So he does the whole scene of it was you, Charlie, it was you, and it's like, yeah. And he's deliberately bad acting it, but again you have that moment where it's De Niro is, nobody says, oh, De Niro did impersonate Brando, but he did. But he deliberately impersonates him badly because he's actually acting. He's playing Jake LaMotta. And John Cazale, he's in that scene. It's at the scene in The Godfather where Marlon Brando comes out and gets shot. When he gets shot, and there's a hit on him, and he goes and he gets the oranges. Benfica. He goes and he gets the oranges, And John Cazale, fantastic actor, he's playing Fredo. We all think, oh, I'd be Sonny. I'm a bit of a hothead. No, I'd be Michael because I'm quite cold and calculating. I like to get revenge. Maybe I'd be Michael. Because I'm quite clever. I could be a lawyer probably. I'm not really in the muscle end of the family. We'd all be Fredo. We'd all be Fredo. Don't worry about it. And he comes out and he's like, oh, he's got the gun. He's got the wee revolver. John Cazale, and he drops it, when he's trying to shoot back at the guys that are shooting his dad, the professional hitman. He can't even, and he's like, Papa! He just looks pathetic. He's dropped the gun. He couldn't defend his dad. It's an amazing scene. John Cazale is also in Deer Hunter with Robert De Niro again, and he's got the wee revolver, and Robert De Niro, who I think paid for John Cazale's. He paid his insurance for that film because John Cazale at that point in time was dying of cancer and he couldn't get insured, and it's one of the greatest, every one of, is it 4 or 5 performances John Cazale has, and they're all Oscar worthy. He's absolutely phenomenal, one of the greatest actors of all time. Died tragically early, and he plays a douchebag. He's been a total douchebag, and Stosh, Stanley, young Stan, and he didn't go to Vietnam, and De Niro's character Mike, he's back from Vietnam and they go up the hills and that kind of thing. There's something, he's not brought any hunting gear with him. This is this. And at one point they're in the kind of hut or whatever it is they're camping in, and he brings out his wee revolver. And of course De Niro character Mike has seen guys playing, being forced to play Russian roulette by the Viet Cong and stuff like that. He's totally traumatised by that. So he takes his gun out and he's like, you don't know what you're doing with that. It's a revolver. It's John Cazale, the same character, doesn't know what he's doing. The revolver, that's Michael Cimino directs that. Scorsese directs Raging Bull. Coppola obviously does Godfather. 3 kind of Italian Americans, the children, second generation immigrants in America, directing these fantastic films. And what brings it all perfectly together for me is that the thing I noticed at Christmas when I was watching Godfather again for like the millionth time in my life. Maybe it's just the television that I'm watching it on this time, or the way it was shown. It's a restoration, but when that scene famously, Don Corleone is going to get oranges. He's buying some oranges from the guy below his offices, the orange seller, and there's an advert. There's a little bit of an advert. You watch it when you go up the pile of oranges on the grocer's kind of market stall. There's a little advert, and it's for a fight. It's for a boxing match, and it's for Jake LaMotta. It's to date the time in the movie is 1946. It's Jake LaMotta against Tommy Bell, ding ding, Tommy Bell, an actual fight that took place in 1946. It's Jake LaMotta, who is played by De Niro when he plays Marlon Brando, and it's a mate John Cazale's, and and they're all tying together, and it's a real. That's right. 7 minutes 51, nearly 8 minutes. That should be us rid of all the Celtic fans, folks. I do, man. Sorry, I have to. You know the score now. I have to pick you through that when Rangers have had a bad result. We get a lot of Celtic fans tuning in, and a lot of them just there to enjoy, just total football fans. So that's fine. They'll stick with it. But that should get rid of the angry ones, and also the angry Rangers fans as well. We obviously we. That thing when you've got a YouTube account and you get a lot of replies, and the people that get lovely stuff, so much, the folk that get in touch, the replies under these videos are so kind, by the way, because some of them can be a little bit verbose when I'm involved, especially when it's European football. But the funniest ones you get to censor, obviously the particular, if any sectarianism at all, we cut that right out. No sectarianism, and if anybody's particularly abusive, we'll cut that out as well. But what I really like is every now and then we'll get one saying, but we'll get one in tonight guaranteed that will say, you spent bloody 7 minutes 50 seconds talking about the Godfather. That was me. I was out of there. It's supposed to be a Fitba pod, and then you've started talking about the football as soon as they've actually switched off. It's quite satisfying. But I sound a bit bitter. I'm trying to make up reasons for me to win as a Rangers fan, because tonight I have watched Rangers getting beat 1-0 to Benfica in the second leg of this UEFA Europa League last 16 tie at Ibrox. Benfica going through 3-2 on aggregate, and that is Rangers out of Europe. A beautiful thing happened, or a horrible thing, but beautiful for the pod. I was actually, so many people hanging about after the game. I was over at another wee alcove there at the back of the Brimlin, and the light went out. The light behind me in this one, it just went out. They switched it off, I think, from inside, and it was so perfectly symbolic of how this feels, because although we've got plenty, I think it's for a change this season, Rangers are doing so well in Europe over the past 6 years that it's kind of, it's a nice wee change for us to be able to concentrate on winning the league. We're up the top of the league, we're going for the Scottish Cup as well. This could be pretty exciting. Let's get Europe out of the way. The domestic scene seems quite exciting, but for the most of my life, the domestic scene pretty quickly becomes kind of down and dirty and just internecine, a bit grubby. A lot of mankiness as we experienced at Easter Road and after it this week. Europe just lights things up. It gives you that bit of xenophilia. It's just lovely. It is a light that has gone out. Life will be a little bit heavier, a little bit darker for the rest of this season. European football, I absolutely adore it, and I think you saw tonight why. Even though we've gone out, it's just so intense. That was like a chess match out there tonight. Really intense. Rangers going toe-to-toe with one of the great clubs of European football. DOB, dirty. See, if we'd gone to Dublin and we'd won the thing, you get the Barcelona Bears, the Lisbon Lions, we'd have been like the Dub-Dobs. That's because that's what they'd call us. There'd be all sorts of stuff going off. If we, Croke Park and all that. There's no way Rangers could go to Dublin and there wouldn't be hunters of trouble. Just all started by locals, obviously, and depending who were playing in the final. But it would be the Dub-Dobs. That's what they called us. Not a very good nickname. But tonight I was thinking Benfica, definitely orange. Their kit was looking really orange tonight. But it was just beautiful being on the same pitch as them. The weather tonight has been absolutely peeing it down all day in Glasgow, and I left half an hour. I give myself half an hour more than I would usually to get to Ibrox in the car tonight, but it was still noise to tail. Everybody leaving the rush hour traffic, hitting the Rangers traffic, and it was noise to tail all through the Clyde tunnel. I was constantly having to alter the aircon, try to demist the motor. It's all steaming up, and it just felt intense and grubby in a way that I like it. European football the way that I like it. Still trying to get rid of Celtic fans maybe that have hung on. They've got through the first wave of my boring anecdotes. I'll go for a second one. Old fat man talking about European football memories. 1991-92, the European Cup. They were trying out the Champions League. It was officially became the Champions League the following season, but the old Champions Cup, they tried the group stages out. They tested them in the 91-92 European Cup, and in one of those group stages, it's the last four teams, the same as it was the first season we won the Champions League when we were a goal away for the final. Rangers, best Scottish team in Europe over the last 50 odd years. It was Sampdoria and Red Star Belgrade, Crvena Zvezda Belgrade, who we beat this very stage of this very competition here 3-0 last season before last. But they were the European Cup holders at that point in time, having beaten us 3-0 in Belgrade in the European Cup the previous season. They went on to win it that season. Absolutely fantastic side. Really classic Red Star Belgrade side. Savicevic, Darko Panchev, Prozinecki, Mihailovic, all these kind of guys. And they were playing against Sampdoria, who went on to the final that season, 91-92, losing 1-0 at Wembley after extra time to that Ronald Koeman goal, the free kick, the first time Barcelona won the European Cup. And they were playing each other because of the civil war in Yugoslavia, as it was at that time, about to become Serbia. They had to move the games, Red Star Belgrade's home games, and it was getting played in the Levski Stadium, the national stadium in Bulgaria, in Sofia. And at this point, it's before the deregulation, the television and stuff like that. So it was only 20 minutes of highlights of this game that I saw on Sports Night. And it was just amazing. The Sampdoria probably won their away kit. You get the red and white stripes of Crvena Zvezda, gorgeous kits. You've got Vialli, I think Mancini are playing for Popeye Lombardo. They're playing for Sampdoria. Absolutely fantastic. There's probably 6 world-class players, half a dozen world-class players in each team. And there's that thing. There's a lot of locals there, and both sides have brought between 15 and 20,000 fans with them. And it just felt kind of a bit helter-skelter, disorganised, higgledy-piggledy. It was a night like this. It was dark, it was rainy, and they were just going for it. They were just, I should have looked this up before I came out. I didn't know I was actually going to talk about it. I should have looked up the actual score. I think it's 2 each or 3-2, maybe to Sampdoria. I don't think Red Star won the game. But my God, it was just ding-dong, an absolute ding-dong affair. And it's with the fans behind the goals, just going absolutely crazy in the rain. And it was magic. The pitch, it was peeing down. The pitch was cutting up, and these guys were just giving it absolutely everything. I had that feeling tonight. I just had that. This is what it's all about. Remember when we played? If you don't know that kind of stuff, non-Rangers games. When we played Villarreal, the first time we played Villarreal, 2005-2006 season, the Champions League. Rangers becoming the first Scottish team to get through a Champions League group stage. I'm trying really hard tonight. I definitely am. You know why I'm doing this, but we played Villarreal in the knockout stages. Last 16, wasn't it? The Champions League, absolutely fantastic, wasn't it? I wasn't in any way excited about Villarreal because they had never been a European final before at that point in time. Like new kids on the block, not very famous, but they'd Riquelme, they'd Forlan, they had that beautiful, really unique day-glow yellow kit of theirs, and it was end-to-end. It was lashing it down that night as well. Lovenkrantz scores for us, and Riquelme and Folland. It was just a phenomenal ding-dong game. I was the away leg of that one as well, and I had that buzz tonight as well. And this wasn't anywhere near as good a game, certainly not near as good a result. We're out of Europe, but it just felt intense, beautiful chess match. Both teams going for it as much as they possibly can. Rangers outclassed. We were outclassed in the end, but not like last season. You think about this, Benfica, they finished top. I know they've dropped out the Champions League group stages this season, but last season they finished top. They cantered to the top of their Champions League group stage last season in a group that contained Juventus and Paris Saint-Germain. They were unbeaten. They get put out in the quarterfinals, I think, the Champions League last season. So this is proper money. They've got 3-4 times more money than we've got. The 2 World Cup winners on the park tonight, and we went toe-to-toe with them. I know ultimately there's a lot of frustration, a lot of Rangers fans. I think that's what you get to see when you come so close. You can see it off. Only Dessers had done this better, or Scott Wright had squared that quicker, or whatever. We could have had the goal that we needed to make the difference tonight. But that's what happens. That's the kind of frustration you actually see this time last season, or earlier on last season, when we were playing the Champions League. We were getting beat by 3, 4 and 6 goals in all these games in the Champions League group stages last season. You're thinking, we don't expect to win these games, but we don't want to get slaughtered. That was that tonight. That's what that was. You're never happy when you get beat. If you get hammered, it's a humiliation. If you get beat closely, it's total frustration. And I think there was a recognition of that amongst the support tonight, when at least 50% of the support hung about at the end of the game. You're lucky to see 50% of the support hanging about in the 80th minute of a game, normally at Ibrox. And I know it was an earlier kick-off tonight. I know it was 5:45 kick-off tonight. But it's 3 o'clock kick-off on a Saturday. Most of the crowd are away by 3 o'clock. And although there was hums and haws during the game, we bursts of "We love you, Rangers" and all that, and applauding the players around the park at the end was really, really touching, really great, and a sign that the vast majority of the Rangers support, all the Rangers support, knows what this is about. They really appreciate the efforts. This is the second time we've changed manager since we were in the Champions League last season, and we know that this team is dropping like flies. The injury list is through the roof. The players are absolutely exhausted. But they did a fantastic job to take that so close tonight. Benfica are quicker. No, they've got better players in the end up, but it was super frustrating. I'm just going to move away from these folk here. It was super frustrating for us when we were taking it so close, but I think you saw the difference in money, the difference in class. You saw it's muscle memory. You can see that these players, when Benfica were coming out, they sat in for a lot of the game. We did hold them round about their box, but they defended like demons. They're so quick. They get on top of you so quickly. And when they do break, and our own corners were more dangerous to us tonight than they were to Benfica, when they do break on you, it's the movement. They've just got it. They're quicker. It's not spectacular stuff at their level. They're not going to win the Champions League anytime soon, Benfica. But at that level, above ours and below, your Manchester Cities and Liverpool. Well, Liverpool, I know they're in the Europa League this season, but you know what I mean. The way they move the ball, it's amazing to watch when you watch it close up. It's not guys holding on to the ball and beating 3 or 4 players up the wing or whatever. It's just ping, pang, pong. Next thing, you're under pressure and they're through on your goal. So that's what happened tonight. Absolutely no disgrace for Rangers. And I think the goal that we lost, the goal that decided the game, kind of sums it up. As I say, Rangers, we have a laugh about it almost these days, that Rangers are terrible with corners, terrible with set pieces in general, domestically. Big Connor Goldson, if only didn't have such a 50 pence 10 bob bit he'd. The amount of times he wins the ball is absolutely fantastic in corners to Rangers in the opposition box, but he never manages to get the ball on target. Tonight that becomes Connor Goldson isn't winning the ball, and we're not doing anything with the ball, and Benfica are on us so quickly that they're through on goal. And then you get Angel Di Maria, a guy who scored in that World Cup final 15 months ago for Argentina. He's nodding a very, very clever ball through to Rafa Silva, who scored against us 3 seasons ago when we drew 3 each in the Stadium of Light. Was absolutely really dangerous against us last week, and he's through on goal tonight. Jack Butland's totally exposed everybody up in the Benfica half for Rangers. He slaps it past him, an expert finish. There's a VAR check that gives us hope. The flag goes up. As soon as he's touched the ball, the flag does go up. But I'm other at the park, but where I sit in the main stand is up in the Copeland side of the pitch, so I'm no judge of that whatsoever. And it's obviously the best of technology when it comes to the Europa League, VAR, and it was ruled after a while, an agonising amount of time. The longer it took, the more you thought this is going to be a goal. It was ruled to have been onside. I think Silva, from what we're hearing, was actually in his own half when he set off on his run. But that was it, and Benfica actually got better after that, because that was them. The game plan had worked for them. They were able to just try and pick us off in the break, and we couldn't get anything going. I think we'd hit the wall at that point in time. The amount of effort from a Rangers team that's basically putting out almost exactly the same team for 3 games in a row for the first time under Philippe Clement, fielding the same starting 10, if you like, for 3 games in the trot. That was it. We couldn't do it, and I got to a certain point in the night, as much as I'm obviously hoping upon hope that we're going to equalise, I could see in our legs that we didn't have extra time in us. And you're starting to think towards Dundee and Sunday, and that's telling. That's telling about your ambitions. I can talk all I want about how we should always prioritise Europe, but tonight I could feel myself thinking, we're not going to last extra time, and actually every time we come forward it looks like Benfica are going to pick us off. Maybe going out at this stage with the odd goal in 5 between ourselves and Benfica is respect, and it's not going to send us cartwheeling when it comes to the confidence. We're not taking a hammer in here. We've gone out, and it's actually going to give us a bit more energy going forward to keep the vast majority of the support happy as we target the Premiership title. But it's just. It's sad. The starting 11 tonight, I stupidly said on the Gersnet preview pod last night. I hardly even mentioned the starting 11 that I was expecting, because I was just so busy ranting and raving at Benfica and how much of a huge tie this was, how much of a privilege it was to be playing them, why we should really enjoy the moment. This game was a prize in itself. It's almost like I kind of knew that we were going to go out with it. But I said on the tweet, I think that was advertising the pod on, that it was basically I would go with the same starting 10 as we had at Easter Road. We knew that Rabbi Matondo or Ross McCausland was going to come in because Dujon Sterling wasn't fit. But that was it. That was the only change that was going to be necessary. And then ding dong, who's that at the door? I think is it the postman? It was at Amazon with that parcel that I ordered, that dodgy parcel that I ordered. I'll get the door hen. Oh no, it's Scott Wright. It's actually Scott Wright. Where the hell did he come from? I did not expect him to be starting on the right at all. He's had one good game this season, Scott Wright, and he did really well in that semi-final against Hearts at Hampden in the League Cup. But he's largely been anonymous. He was off to Turkey at one point, it seemed. So you can't really blame him for not being the best. But I think it was the weather. I think it was with the earlier kick-off tonight. It's also light when I come into Ibrox, and it's rainy, and it's kind of dull, and it's not exactly freezing. It's misty. There's almost a har across the pitch. It's just really, really intense, and it was reminding me very much of the way Ibrox looked before that game against RB Leipzig. Less than 2 seasons ago, when we won that semi-final to get ourselves into the Europa League final in Seville at a magical night, and Scott Wright played a magical part in the magical goals we scored in that game in the first half. And you're thinking, okay, Scott, let's go out there and sing the one that made you famous. And he had his moments. I think he did really well tonight. Scott Wright, I think there's a lot of supporters tonight were wanting to get on the back of somebody. Needed somebody to blame. And Scott Wright, I think, seemed to be taking that for not being able to execute everything perfectly. Me, I am no judge of this game whatsoever. As usual, it's a post-match reaction pod. I'll react emotionally, tell you how everybody's feeling, give you a general sense of the game. But I'm on the Friday night pod tomorrow night with Brian. I'll have watched the game again by that point on television to give you a proper analysis of how the game went down. But apart from anything else, there's so many people that are going to the first football match tonight, coming to this kind of game, that are arriving late because the traffic was terrible. So there was a lot of up and down in the stands. It was more a feeling I was just enjoying. The Just Eat. I'm talking about the Just Eat advert that comes up in bright orange on the advertising horns. I'm thinking, yeah, I could just eat this right up. I love this intensity, this grubbiness, the rain. It was just magic. To be playing, kicking off after Christmas, and it's light. It makes you think of, knockout stages, or one game away from, quarter-finals. We could only have played 2 more games at Ibrox in Europe this season anyway. To be at that stage again within the space of 2 years, is to be able to say that is really fantastic, especially with all the managerial changes going on. But I think Scott Wright had a couple of moments up the other end, from me, up at the Broomlin end, which he was getting a bit of hassle from the supporters, but he also seemed to be making things happen, because it was all about line breakers tonight, and this was a hard line to break. Nicolas Otamendi, the World Cup winning centre-half, playing for Benfica, who played all of the 120 minutes plus penalties of that 2022 World Cup final against France and Qatar, an absolute legend of the game. He's right at the centre of it, but they are totally organised, Benfica, so defending like demons, and Diamonde's kind of trying to go for it, and Scott Wright was something different, something I wasn't expecting, so Benfica definitely weren't expecting it, and he was running at them, he was going at them. Lawrence is going at them, Dessers is doing whatever Dessers can possibly do. The guy's he's just no fast enough, and I think tonight he was caught offside a couple of times tonight. A lot of frustration for the fans in that, but that's what's going to happen. He's up against a better defence than he's experienced in Scotland, where he's sorted out, he's going to cut out the offsides against domestic opponents, so it's taken it up again a level tonight. We're trying anything to break those lines, and it was really difficult. Benfica were pretty much in control for most of the game, but we had them. Come at the start of the second half. I can't even remember what happened in the first half. We definitely went through and go and looked pretty promising a few times. I remember being up, getting myself a bit hoarse, shouting and screaming, and I remember us doing nothing with our corners. And second half we come out and we have that one. We built a Tav. I thought he get a bit of stick at times tonight as well. He always does, but he was all over the place. It was a lot of it. It wasn't a pretty game. I don't think anybody who's the kind of Domino's and Budweiser crowd who just think football was invented. For at the time Man City got a lot of money from petrodollar states, and they just sit there watching it and telling you. I don't think they would have enjoyed a game like this tonight. But if you're a proper football fan, I hate saying that, sorry, that's really corny. But it was intense. It wasn't pretty to watch. It wasn't aesthetically pleasing, but it was really, really intense. And Tav was in there for the battle. John Lundstrom was in there for the battle. Diamonde was in there for the battle. Young Maz had a few off moments. But him and Fabio were just getting stuck in, torn in. There was petty fouls and that, or needless fouls they looked like at the time, but it's still part of the intensity. There wasn't too much play acting and diving tonight at all. No real rancour between the teams. It was just all determination. No quarter asked nor given, and I don't think you can really. I don't think you have a problem with that. It was great. It was great stuff. I know it's terrible. Rangers have gone out of Europe, but it's just great to be involved in games like this. It's high intensity, high stakes poker every time. Rangers had to go for it. We had to try and get overloads. So if they didn't work out, it was only we were going to get past this Benfica defence. If it didn't work out, Benfica are obviously going to break on you with intent, with purpose, and they got that one goal. I need to mention. We had a chance at the beginning of the second half. I think Dessers ends up putting it past the far post, and there was another chance after that. Went past the near post to me when I'm sitting in the main stand, and that was it really. We didn't really create that many chances. All the shots we had on goal were they weren't going on goal, they were going well past, they were a bit tentative. Benfica did well. They dug in well. We just couldn't get past them at all. Definitely good value for their victory. I need to mention Colin, a lovely fellow that I bumped into in the main stand at the end of the game, who were giving our team a standing ovation. And really, really, really nice about the pod. And he said to me, "What about Otamendi now? I saw your pod last night when you were saying you wanted to see Angel Di Maria. No, it's actually Angel Di Maria. What about Angel Di Maria now? I saw your pod last night. You're saying you want to see him scoring to add to your collection of guys that have scored in the World Cup final that you've seen scoring live. You dirty pat traitor, and he starts pitting the boot into me and all that. But he just punched me in the ribs, just stabbed me in the thigh and all that, because he knew I was going to be doing the pods afterwards, and he wanted to keep my face. He knows my face is bad enough, so that was really, Colin, I appreciate that, mate. You're a total gentleman. That was nice. And it's Angel Di Maria. I was kind of wanting to add him to my list of World Cup final scorers, but by the time he came off the pitch tonight, I think the game was in the bag probably for Benfica. I wasn't wanting Rangers to go to extra time, so you're looking for us to score 2 quick goals. Couldn't see it happening at all, and I was just really proud. I didn't want Benfica scoring any more goals. I didn't want us going down by more than a single goal, and I was really proud of our players. I'm really proud of our club to get us to this situation again. What is that? 6 seasons on the trot that we've been in the group stages of European football. And when you consider where we were 2012, 13, 14, 15, playing in the lower leagues of Scottish domestic football, and there we are, 6 straight seasons in the group stages, and 4 of those seasons we have got out that group stage. Not only have we got into the round of 32, but we've ended up in the round of 16, the last 16 of European competition. Absolutely phenomenal. I'm hoping it hasn't come to an end. I'm hoping this is no kind of bookending that I'm setting up here. But we ended up with Gerrard's 2 seasons. We won our last 32 game against, who was it? Braga, brilliantly, Portuguese side. And the following season, that absolute epic behind closed door stuff during the COVID season against Royal Antwerp, and we get put out very respectably by a Leverkusen and who else put us out? Who else? put us out in that? Slavia Prague. I see they get tanked by Milan over the two legs. So good to see there'll be no noxious Prague clubs in the quarterfinals of this competition. Anyway, that's a wee bonus tonight. But Rangers just this time we didn't even bother playing a last round of 32 tie. What was it that season where we won the round of 32 tie against Borussia Dortmund and went all the way to the final, and then tonight we've not even bothered playing a round of 32 tie because we finished top of our group to go straight into the last 16. 20 years we're the only club to get past Christmas in Europe from Scotland. It's absolutely phenomenal. And that's something really major to mention. Yes, Seville, the very reason that we went straight into this tie tonight, and that could yet prove to be crucial as for our stamina going forward with everything we're trying to win in Scotland, that we missed out that round of 32 tie in Europe. That might be the very reason that we're top of the league just now, you never know. But we did it via a phenomenal win. We had a couple of embarrassments in Europe this season, particularly, I would say, away to Aris Limassol and away to PSV Eindhoven, but it's not all been smooth sailing. A phenomenally staunch performance away to Sparta Prague in the current manager's first game in Europe in charge of us, and then he took us to Seville. We had a wee embarrassment at the home draw with Aris Limassol, but he went over to Seville and we had our first ever victory against Spanish opposition on Spanish soil to again take away it's not a trophy. You know, when you get all that kind of, where is the we played in Europe after Christmas trophy? That means that the only time it counts if you're in Europe is if you actually win the bloody trophy. So, all those, for a random example, I'm just trying to think of another Scottish club that's had a big night in Europe. Celtic beating Barcelona. Maybe they beat Barcelona in the UEFA Cup. That was fantastic. They put them out of that. Dundee United getting to the final in '86, but they didn't win it, so they're losers. That doesn't count. This is what it's all about. Having games like this, at your home stadium, like what we had tonight, and it was absolutely magic. It's been tremendous. I have talked for 31 minutes somehow. I don't really know why, and this is supposed to be a shorter pod than usual, but at least it doesn't look like I've copped out just because Rangers went out of Europe tonight. They go out with our congratulations and our thanks for doing so well and giving us just another fantastic season in Europe. It's been the comeback. It's been the salve, the balm for everything we experienced as a lower league club and when we come back into the top flight, and I hope it continues next season. I hope we can have another great European season next season, and there's every chance of that with this manager. If we manage to hang on to Philippe Clement, imagine what he'll do with a pre-season and a summer transfer window under his belt. This is great. I hope there's lots of Celtic fans with misophonia listen to this because there's so much background noise. It's going to be sending them absolutely mental. It's sending me mental trying to do this anyway. I think folk are just making stuff up now. They're just going home and they're getting like roller skates and corrugated metal and just dragging it along the back of the Broomland stand to make this a perfectly annoying evening. But I'll be back on the main pods tomorrow night. Not the main pod, the Friday night preview pod. We're looking ahead to that crucial game at Dens Park against Dundee on Sunday. This is unbelievable. We've been rattled out of Europe. And I'll be on that with Mr. Brian Archer, and we'll, as I say, I'll have a look at the game properly. We'll be able to properly analyse the events on the pitch tonight. So we'll have a wee talk about that, and we'll look forward to the game at Dundee, myself and Brian. But one thing that's really annoying me about not going through, amongst all the reasons to be annoyed about not going through the quarterfinals, is AC Milan, or Milan as they're properly called. Milan, as everybody knows them in Milan. They're in the quarterfinals. And Benfica, I talked to you, in the endless preview pods I was doing about Benfica, how they had the curse of Bela Gutmann, the manager who won them their only two European trophies. It was the 1961 and the 1962 European Cup. He didn't get a pay rise or a bonus at the end of that, so he cursed them to not win another European trophy for 100 years. And the following season, under a new manager, they got back to the European Cup final and they were a goal up at half-time, a goal from Eusebio, an afternoon kick-off at Wembley in the European Cup final, and they thought, so much for your curse, Mr. Gutmann. But then they lost two second-half goals and they lost Mario Coluna to injury, their pivotal player, and they lost it. They lost that final, and they've lost another 7 finals since then in Europe. Never won another European trophy since Bela Gutmann cursed them. And the team they lost that first European Cup final to in '63 was AC Milan, was Milan. And what was Milan's previous game? Before Milan had played at Wembley, what was their previous European tie? What was the previous venue they had played at? Dens Park, Dundee. the semi-final. Dundee won the league in 1962, and they took a pounding in the San Siro in the first leg, but they beat Milan at Dens Park in the second leg of that semi-final. So, we're off to a street that's seen a European final and a couple of European Cup / Champions League semi-finals. Also a Fairs Cup semi-final. I think Dundee 68 got to the semi-finals of the Fairs Cup. So the European glamour there's a lot of fallout from that. We're going to take a bit of that into this match at Dundee on Sunday. But that's me, folks. From now on, it will be 20-minute pods all the way. Just your standard meat and 2 veg from now until the end of the season. But hopefully we're going to do so much by the end of this season that we'll be going powering straight back into the heart of European football before you know it. Thanks for your attention, folks. Thanks for your time. Talk to you soon.